Welcome to the Perspective Podcast. Josue here. As you guys already know, I'm a fellow believer from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I attended the Oral Roberts University. I preach at times, but we're not really here to talk about that. And to my left, we have Mr. Chase Brown himself. He was born in Texas. He attended University of North Texas. He's an aspiring philanthropic creative, and it is September 19th. And he still loves very long walks on the beach. Why that is? We're going to find out today. Chase Brown, how you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. Surprised that you remembered to go to the left rather than to the right.
Yeah, I mean, you switched it up a little bit, so I figured I should adjust as well.
I mean, got to keep you on your toes, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a professional, so it works out.
But yeah, dude, doing really good. Had a good Sunday yesterday out here in Atlanta at Victory Church and watching the Cowboys actually win a game for once.
That was surprising. I was quite surprised by that.
But no, it's good, man. Yeah, it's been good. How about you, bro?
Good. The same thing. You know, Victory Church was great. It was phenomenal.
You cried a little bit?
No, I don't think I cried. I wanted to, but, you know, I wasn't able to cry. But enough about us. As you guys already know, whenever we have podcasts, we try to bring you guys a very special guest. And today's guest, we really had to
pull a bunch of strings
and really try to make some work. You know, we had to pray and fast.
Fast a little bit, definitely fast.
As the Bible says, supplication, various things like that. Just kind of give you guys a little intro into who he is. I'm sure most of you guys already know who he is, but just for the sake of the notes that I'm getting paid to read, I'm going to read my notes here. He's a 5-time Samoan Artist of the Year. He's a 2-time hip-hop wrestling tournament champion?
Yeah. You don't know that, like, the whole hip-hop genre hosts a wrestling tournament every year? And our guest has won a couple times.
Okay, I didn't know that, but that's to be expected, I suppose. He's a recording artist. He's a father, a husband. He's a returning artist. So if we could give
returning guest.
Yeah, he's a returning artist and guest as well. So he's made singles and he's coming back for more singles.
Okay. I see what you did there.
Because he's releasing. We'll talk about that later on. You didn't know that, but it's okay. If we can get our hands together. We're not going to clap?
Yeah.
We're doing our best to clap for you. It's not working. We have Tedashii in the building. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, I'm good. Thank you for having me here, man.
Man, thank you for being here with us. Yeah,
I felt the love through the golf clap. I appreciate that.
I tried to make it a little bit better, but it just didn't work out.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I know how Oral Roberts struggles at times those alumni struggle at times to make things happen.
Yeah, it's tough.
I was playing. I was rooting.
What beef we got?
I was rooting for y'all, man. I'm a college basketball fan, so I was rooting for.
See, the crazy thing is, I didn't even know they were good until the tournament started, and then someone was like, "Oral Roberts made it, right?" I was like, "Made it to what?
Made it what?
Yeah, what they do now? So
a good friend of mine, Paul Mills, Coach Mills, he coaches the basketball team down there. Mm-hmm. And man, I was hoping for him to go further in the tournament, bro. It was a good look.
It was.
Yeah. Well, how have you been, man?
I've been well, man. It's been a lot of ups and downs in this season, and yet through it all, God's kept me. And I don't say that in a cliche way. I say it because it's true. But man, I've been well, and so I'm excited to be here with y'all.
Yeah,
I made it. I was like, I looked at my calendar this morning. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get up and shower. So.
Yeah, that's always a good feeling.
It's been good. Yeah, it's been about 1.5 years since we had you on.
Yeah, man.
And so we're happy to be here. And you finally met Josue.
I've heard of the legend.
Yeah.
Yet now God has allowed me to put eyes on thine soul.
Wow,
to see the legend for myself.
That's
an honor right there.
That's an honor. Yeah, it's a ministry if I might even add myself. That's amazing.
I agree.
Wow.
Goodness,
so y'all got to go to Victory?
We did.
Yeah.
Did y'all enjoy it? Was it good?
It
was great.
Yeah, I like going to Victory.
It was so diverse.
Yeah.
I think I was looking around the whole time, just like, am I really seeing what I'm seeing right now? Which was crazy.
No, it's a grand representation of the body as a whole, man. The universal church. Like, you see so many ethnicities, and you're like, yo, are we in Georgia right now? For real.
I was pleasantly surprised. But, speaking about ethnicity and representing the body, I think personally, coming to America, many, many years ago, I've always heard the legend, I guess you could say, of Samoans for some reason. In our side of the world, in the Fort Worth, Texas side of the world, we have a school, Trinity High School.
On, man. I know about the Trojans, bro. Come on,
UNT, I'm tripping.
Yeah, come on,
bro. But there, it was just a big legend, So it was always amazing. But I can't say I'm too familiar with the culture, So today we would definitely love to hear your thoughts, hear some ideas, and if you could just talk to us about the Samoan culture and
uniquenesses of it, what it's like, all that
good stuff.
Man, if I can run it down, I would say it would be family, food, and faith.
I can see that. I can see that.
As generic, I know if as a lot of different cultures you could say, but I mean, the other side too, I think would be friendliness, like sticking with the alliteration. There's this welcoming spirit that I think Samoan people embody, and Polynesians as a whole, man. I think you find it rare that you could engage the Polynesian culture and not come across someone who'd be welcoming of you to invite you in. And being Samoan, I think there's so much that I can think upon in my own life and experience. Because for me, I'm biracial. My father's Polynesian, my mom is African American. And so I grew up in Texas with my mom. I didn't know my dad until I was in college. Had never spoken with him, never met him, any of that. And so when I met him for the first time, I met him on the island. But getting to the island of Samoa, you got to go from where I was. You got to leave Dallas, fly to Hawaii, or Cali, I'm sorry. I flew to Cali, left LA and went to Hawaii, left Hawaii, went to Samoa. But along the way, the more I went west, the more I felt recognized because you don't see a lot of Polynesians in the South. And then the more I got closer to the island, the more I met people who felt inviting and welcoming. And at first I was like, maybe it's just because I'm Polynesian. They just see me and invite me in because I'm similar or the same. But it was everybody. Tourists, random people who were looking for something to eat, people who were lost, even people who were just there shopping. It's like there is such a welcoming spirit on the island and amongst the people that it blows me away. So friendliness, hospitality, kindness, compassion, all those things exist. It's huge. It's a big part of the culture.
Yeah, and that's a common theme that I see with a lot of my friends that are, I'd say Tongan, but it's similar with Samoan as well. Because I think I've told you that one of my really good friends, his nickname is Big V, but he plays for the Lions.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he played for the Eagles for a while, won a Super Bowl there. But
I got to follow him now. I got to do that, bro.
His full name is Halepolivati Vaitai. And this boy, 6'8", 330.
Sheesh.
In high school, this dude was 6'7", like 280.
Oh, so he was grown in high school.
Okay. Yeah, and it's insane. But his family, we growing up through high school, we go on mission trips with him. Him and his two brothers and the rest of their cousins, and they were all just like, I think they're just like the definition of meekness.
Yeah, bro.
Where it's just they have the most strength that any human could ask for, yet they're the kindest people and know when to use it and when to not use it.
Yeah. I've been described as the strong, silent type. And I know that's a common phrase in society, but when I meet other Polynesians, it's true. The meekness, and I don't want to use the word lowliness because I think for some people it communicates the wrong idea for the connotation of the word that we kind of commonly view it as. But to see yourself as who you really are, bold, brave, strong, courageous, and at the same time walk with a level of humility, to see yourself as who God sees you as, I'm like, yo, that is very accurate of the people who I know and the Polynesians that I'm related to. It matters much that you walk with a level of respect, a level of compassion, a level of hospitality, and when the rubber meets the road, in an instant, I'll choke you out. It's like, oh yeah, if need be, if need be, bro. And so yeah, I've just seen it time and time again. And so to your point, I didn't grow up knowing my dad, so I was in Houston, not really knowing a bunch of different people. Found a Polynesian group of people who used to play volleyball, guys and girls played volleyball all Tongan, maybe one Samoan person. And I mean, super inviting, super kind. I sucked at volleyball. They were like, hey, you can do it. Keep going. Versus like me playing ball in the hood and hooping, and dudes is like, hey, you suck. Get off the court. Come back when you learn how to play. So I'm like, man, these people just embrace me. So I loved every moment of it, bro.
So how was that like, growing up for you? As you mentioned, your mom being African American, your dad being Polynesian. So how was that? Was there ever like a dynamic that you were trying to figure out, where do I fit in?
Totally. I think I was always trying to find my place. In a real way, the way I word it, because of the double meaning, I tell people I was trying to find my people. People meaning ethnically, but people also meaning just who would I fit in with?
Belong with.
Man, who do I belong with? What group am I going to belong to? Because there's so much mental anguish at times of trying to find peace among other people and your peers. And so, yeah, there would be times that I'm like, I don't know what a Polynesian is. I don't even know where they come from. And prior to even knowing that my dad was Polynesian, I grew up in Texas. I thought I was like Mexican and black. And like, my dad's Mexican. I don't know where he is right now, but I'll meet him one day. And then my mom actually told me who my father was and all that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what that is, but whatever. And so being in the South, but being a person with heritage from a South Pacific island, you're so far removed from any opportunity to experience that world that you find yourself having to adopt other people's worlds and identities and their social groups and norms because you don't know where you fit. And so I found myself, of course, because my mom is black, heavily engaged in identifying in the black culture and experience in America. That was my upbringing. But at the same time, knowing that there was another part of me, there was always this desire to investigate and this desire to kind of see and learn when I could. So the effort was there, but without opportunity and without a lot of connection to it, I just found myself at a loss. And so, I'm like, I don't know if Chinese and Samoan go together, but I'm gonna hang with these Chinese kids at school today. Come on, y'all, let's eat, let's hang out, let's talk. So,
Amen. Yeah, that's special. And I think though that can be a tough experience, it's something that I'm sure in various ways you wouldn't trade. Because of the lessons that you were able to learn from it.
Totally.
And things like that.
That's a great perspective,
Yeah, because it's funny, we were talking about this a little bit with Foggy.
Recorded
with him a couple days ago, and it's something where I think to different degrees, all of us kind of go through this experience of this outside world trying to tell us who we are, and then essentially our family trying to tell us who we are.
Yeah, bro.
And us needing to affirm our identity in the Lord and just going through that process. And if we don't, then that just sets up a ground for us to be unstable going forward, and then from there, just as the word said, gets tossed to and fro in the
bro.
wind. Yeah. And so it's interesting. So then from there, throughout all of your kind of exploration into culture and your identity, one of the things that we love to ask is, what do you think American culture could learn from Samoan culture and the positive aspects of the culture? Because to give some background, which I think we talked about on the first podcast we had, one of the core beliefs that we have here as perspectives is God's placed a unique part of his character in each culture around the world. And so as we come to know more cultures, know more people groups, find the kingdom aspects in those cultures and adopt those, we are able to become more obedient and more representative of Christ and his character. So what are some of those characteristics?
No, that's perfect, bro. I want to answer that by tying in the two ideas that you presented. One, what can we learn from the culture? And then secondly, just the idea of identity and the influences you get as a kid and where you come from, so to speak. So I got raised to believe at an early age, and I still think it's true now, the immediate engagement for the child, whoever that is, mom, dad, one or the other, both, aunt, uncle, grandmother, madia, auntie, whoever, like, those are the people who speak the world into reality for the child. They don't have real world experience. They cognitively can't comprehend what the world is really like. So you're giving them that in whatever format and fashion you can. And for me, I didn't really have a lot of Christian influences growing up. So there were no real Christian worldviews there. Cultural worldviews, but not a lot of Christian worldviews. Now, go with the train of thought, please. The cultural worldviews and ideologies were influenced by Christian morals and values. So you get this very fractured picture of who Christ is, or what the gospel is, or what the Bible says. And yet you get it from a very trusted source, one that provides for you, those that care for you, take you where you got to go, pick you up, love on you, feed you, whatever.
Okay.
And you're getting this fractured picture, but what you're getting in return is also what you begin to develop on your own. Is you take the cues, you formulate your identity. Now, if I am created by God and I'm his creation in his image and in his likeness, it would stand to reason that eventually that fractured idea of who he is should be the thing less fractured at some moment in time. What I've recognized in my life is God made a switch, and he took away the idolatry of the world and replaced it with love for himself. And through the love that I have for him and what I've learned of him, it's made me love my culture even more, hold it in high regard even more. Not in a perverted sense where it's law in and of itself, but it's a thing of beauty that God has given me to outwork my life on this earth. This is the avenue through which my ideas, my existence, my passions flow through. And so I'm both my parents, genetically, experientially. I didn't grow up with my dad, but I have so many mannerisms like him. And I'm like, yo, this is the creepiest thing. I don't know how we do the same stuff, but it just proves to me more like what you are is a part of me, but that has to be filtered through the lens of Christ. So going to the idea of what the culture can learn from what America can learn from Samoan culture, I think about my father and my biological father and how he is, he grew up on the island, speaks the language, that's his first language, but he is a born-again Christian. And so everything that he has been taught to do culturally, he filters it through a lens of who Christ is. And to me, culture in America, I think, could take cues from recognizing how to subdue your personal passions to the ultimate passion of Christ. That to me is what I've learned from watching my dad, and really, honestly, a lot of the people in the culture at large. There's a high regard for and respect for the elderly. There is a high regard and respect for the religious. There's a high regard and respect for how you treat one another. And even though people play different roles, there's still this respect of that person. So much so that you might go out of your way. Like my dad right now is like, hey, I'll see you this weekend. My cousin is having a wedding in Malibu. And so they're like, we'll see you this weekend because of X, Y, and Z in the culture, but also because we want to show her the love of Christ. And I'm like, oh, all right, Dad. Wow. So that type of stuff, a lot of words, I'm sorry, but I wanted to try to paint the picture as best I could for people. Because oftentimes we look at people and we try to see them culturally, not racially. But even when we do so, we kind of only do it with a limited, fractured perspective because we just look at their food or we look at their clothing. But to see them in their essence for what they really are, you have to go deeper. But when you put the layer of Christ on that, you can't just say, oh, Christian, I know who you are now, because there's so much more underneath that God gave you culturally. Yeah. So to understand both of them is to understand me, but to recognize the hierarchy of it in that what I was getting as a child, this fractured view of the Lord, has now been brought whole. And what I am culturally is now submitted to that, even though the culture wasn't taken away from me. So,
So then just from hearing you speak, would you say there is a, because I feel like over the last maybe year or so, you know, listen to a lot of people talk, especially since I live in America now. You know, you see the pride in being American and all that good stuff, which is completely fine. But I think when it comes to believers, there's an easy way to kind of get that mixed up and pervert it in such a way where it's like, you know, it almost becomes like this weird being patriotic in the sense. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Being patriotic is the same thing as being like a kingdom citizen or equating the two. But from what I'm hearing you speak, you're saying that you can come to a place where there is this Christ layer in a sense, right? You identify with Christ Jesus, but at the same time, you're also able to enjoy the benefit of being American or from El Salvador or wherever else.
No, that's a great point. That's a great, I guess, breakdown of it. You have, in this country, for example, what you alluded to, you have this idea of patriotism, which is beautiful, in my opinion, that has been in some ways perverted for nationalism, where now my affinity, my being a part of, and my existence within this nation makes me have this attitude, this disposition, this belief even that will now be married and kind of intermingled with my faith. Because for some reason we have believed the idea that the nation that we have now become nationalist for has a foundation or an interwoven idea of that same faith, which to me is a poor premise to begin with. But even if you found that to be true, the fact that at some moment you would make ideals of a nation synonymous with inerrant scripture or an infallible God or the Most High God, it's like, I think we have done a disservice to the view of just how high and mighty God really is, and a disservice to the view of where culture's place is in light of who Christ is. So when I first became a Christian, people were telling me, forsake your culture for the sake of the gospel. And so I was trying to do that, but what I found myself doing was laying down one culture and just picking up another. Wherever I was, if I was in an all-black Pentecostal church, if I was in an all-white evangelical church, whatever it was, I found myself laying down what God had made me to be to then just assimilate and adopt whatever it was that was dominant in the area I was living. So I found myself only a victim now of someone else's perspective instead of trying to seek the Lord and understand why he gave me this culture to begin with. And then furthermore, how I could glorify him through it. Not just how I could glorify him through it, but I will say this. My being who I am is glorifying to the Lord. Like my existing as a Samoan, as a biracial Samoan and black man is in and of itself glorifying unto the Lord. This was his choice, his will, his desire. In light of his choice, what am I going to do in stewardship of it to then glorify him through it? It in and of itself glorifies him, but now in my hands, what will I do with it to glorify him through it? So if I can do anything, it'll be implementing the principles that I see in Scripture that all people are called to, but in a real way. If I look at the children of Israel, if I look at the nation of Israel in the New Testament, if I look at the first century church, there was very much this pride and this celebration of being Hebrew, of being from Israel, because you were chosen by God. You weren't just living as a person who was from Israel and saying, man, I'm Israeli and I'm proud with a fist in the air. But you also weren't disregarding your nationality or disregarding your ethnicity for the sake of saying, I belong to Jehovah and that's it. You know, it's like we've gone too far with swinging the pendulum that we forget the fact that I believe, and what I think you guys highlight often, culture has been given to us by the Lord and should be loved, respected, and elevated in light of what God has done, not in place of him.
Yeah, it's a way to express our faith in a way.
Very much so, bro.
I love it. So then to come full circle on that and to be whole, what is one or two things that you think potentially Samoan culture could learn from American culture.
Yeah. I honestly think there is this isn't, it's spiritual, but it isn't spiritual. I heard a brother say one time, every financial decision is a spiritual decision. And I'm like, yeah, it's in the realm of stewardship. So I receive that. I think that the Samoan culture could learn well from American culture how they have begun to bring about infrastructure in the world of business ownership, corporate ownership, stuff like that. There is a reality that, in my opinion, the quote unquote American dream has been withheld from some for some time. But for this moment, those who do find themselves being able to take part in that American dream, outside of the realm of idolatry, but in the realm of what has God allowed me or afforded me to do, I think there's a level of wisdom and ingenuity that I have seen among American culture, that when people come from the island and get in, it would do them well to learn that. I think a lot of people come to this nation for the first time with a different culture. I won't speak for everybody. People I know from the Polynesian culture have come to this nation with a level of gratitude, a level of excitement, a level of ambition, yes, but ambition stoked by expectations. But those aren't given. And without the proper insight, you miss it in some ways. So I think you have to be mindful of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's...
You hate us. No, you hate us.
You all good.
Totally kidding.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, no, I can... I feel like I definitely relate to that because I'm from the Congo.
Yeah.
And, moving here, I felt whenever we did this and I had to think about that question, it was also like, man, there's so much that both cultures can learn from each other.
Yeah.
And I think for me, being here for this many years, trying to implement both from both cultures, to kind of have a holistic view of, my point of view of life and decisions and things like that. So,
Yeah. So then to land the plane here, because we know you got responsibilities, you got things you got to do, and we got one day coming up here in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You've been working on a new album.
I have been.
On some new music.
Yeah.
And so we'd love to hear kind of what that process has been, both in terms of what's inspired this set of music, but then also like how you've kind of balanced that with, as we were talking about before the podcast, everything else that you got going on in life.
Totally. So I will always try to give as much as I can, but I want to do it by kind of segueing away from what we just talked about into it, using some of that other stuff. So as a Polynesian here, but I grew up in the States in a different culture. So it's a weird thing, and I'm sure there are other people out there like that. Like, I'm not the only one that is of a certain race, but at the same time grew up in a different culture. So growing up here in America and being a minority or a black man, there are certain things that you go through or you experience. But recognizing more so than the rest of the people around me did that I was also Polynesian, when I am with Polynesian relatives, I find that there is this pursuit of certain things that culture deems valuable, and yet there are things, either because of this they're unaware of them, or because they don't desire them or see the good in them. There are things that people miss out on. So, for instance, one thing I'm doing currently is trying to educate all of the people I know in my immediate family, and then we'll branch out from there on how to start their own business. So a part of what I'm doing with the Chase Foundation that I'm starting in honor of my son Chase is to help people start their own businesses and have ownership. To me, America is about ownership. Any country is made up of land, but I think the early founders had a proper idea with a perverted perspective and pursuit. Land ownership is valuable and important because the country is made up of land. So tangibly, to own a piece of America is to own some of the land. To own a piece of America is to own intellectual property. But in order to have that ownership, you got to know how to do certain things. So I'm literally teaching people how to start their own business in light, and I say that because I'm working on music now, and I have an EP coming. I have tons of other music that I've worked on. I'm basically working on 3 projects at once, along with video, along with all this other stuff. But in doing the music, I realized, I need to start a LLC because I have a touring entity LLC, but with all this other creative stuff I got going, I need to start another LLC. And this was advice of a wiser, older dude from my church. And I was like, yo, really? I should? And he broke down why. I was like, why don't other people do this? And he was like, I don't know, they're crazy, just moving on. But then when I was talking to my relatives, they were like, we never knew this. And I go, oh, America, just coming here and being excited that you're not where you used to be, or coming here and being excited because of what you believe is available is all fine and dandy, but exposure, information, and then avenues to achieve those things, that's what my heart has been drawn to. So I'm doing the music, but really the music was an example in this season. Pardon me. This season has been an example of like, I got to start a business. Yo, I'm already doing the paperwork. Let me show my little brother. Yo, let me show my sister. Hey, cuz, you ever thought about doing this? You already do this. And you realize, man, no one's thought about this. They're just out here pursuing passion and no real identity or idea behind what they could be in this country for all that it affords you.
Yeah, man. Do you have anything off of that?
No.
You better start up your own LLC.
I'm thinking about it.
Come on, bro.
Yeah,
Butterman Inc.
I mean,
Yeah.
you about to drop all these butter bars on people.
Gotta let them know butter bar is coming soon.
You gotta let
your
them know.
local CVS.
Like start your own LLC, get your music out on SoundCloud, and then be like, yo, book me at butterbars.com because it's going down.
We is it copyright? Is that the word?
Copyright. You got copyright.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that copyright right now. Put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, each person that comes to your concert gets a free stick of butter.
I'm not even mad at that.
That might cause some issues, but
no, it won't.
In their car on the way there.
It won't. What is it called when cats drink coffee but they put butter in it too? Huh? You never heard of this?
What? I put
folks that do like
coffee?
Like the keto diet.
Yeah.
It's a diet based on high fat intake, high protein intake, low carb intake. So people drink. I think it's called bulletproof coffee. People drink coffee where they put butter in it. And like a half a stick of butter in a cup of coffee, and everyone I've talked to, they're like, it don't taste bad. Then when they drink it, it's more filling. The fat fills your body, but it's healthy fat. And once you get to ketosis, you end up burning excess fat and carbs. Yeah. Bro, I think it's called bulletproof coffee. But that butter sticks is a real thing, bro. They use them in coffee. They're putting them in hot drinks. They're using more butter in food. Real butter, though.
It sounds like a Waffle House special or something.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you, look up bulletproof coffee. I'm telling you, there is somebody doing this. It's not crazy for you to hand out butter sticks. I'm saying butter bars. You got the breakdown of the bars. They come into the show. You hand them a stick of butter, and then what you do is you get a butter sponsorship from someone here and in the DRC, and you go.
He's in the DRC, my man.
And then you say, man, look, I got sponsorships overseas. Let me show you how I can run this, and part of the proceeds will help X, Y, and Z. I got sponsorships here. Part of the proceeds helps put on this, but you got you helping sell butter, and you giving them butter bars.
So I gotta say one thing. I was gonna end it, but I hope you know that all of that was on camera.
Yeah.
And with that, as I use this idea, I can't give you credit for it. That's one of my personal convictions. I don't give people credit for anything. I'm like, I take it as mine. So
it's all good. It's all good, man.
I
don't ever fight for credit. My lawyers do.
Okay. I don't really have a lawyer.
I'm totally kidding.
The Lord is my advocate. The
Lord is my advocate. He's a lawyer in a courtroom. Come on, somebody.
I heard that in a song somewhere, so that works out.
Oh my gosh. Goodness, man. Well, that was great. We appreciate the time, man.
Yeah. No doubt. It was a blessing.
You're amazing as always, and we just appreciate your friendship and just your time, mentorship, just everything, man.
Thank you, bro.
So
it means a lot.
We're excited for everything that's to come up, and especially with the Chase Foundation, because I think I hold that a little bit dearly to my heart because we share the name.
Yeah, man.
And so I'm really excited for all that, man.
Perfect, bro. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
but
man.
That'll be a wrap for us today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll be linking all of Tedashii's information in the description if you want to check out his old music, and then as the new music is coming out, and support the Chase Foundation and all that as well. All of our information will be in the description below if you want to support us, the podcast, outreaches, and all that. So thanks again.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, until next time, y'all. Much love. God bless.